Hello and welcome to Behind the Buzz. My name's Mike Davies and I'm the founder of BuzzGen and the host of Behind the Buzz. Today I'm going to be having a chat with Lisa Murphy, who is the founder of Limelight HR. Lisa, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
So how long have we known each other now?
So I think it's been about 18 months, 2 years-ish since we met at that fated networking event.
Oh, yes. And still going. We still run events together now. So, yeah. And, so, I mean, first and foremost, Limelight HR. The name's on the tin. But tell us about Limelight HR.
Thanks, Mike. So, Limelite HR Learning is our full name. I started the business just coming up to, it will be 5 years on December the 12th since I registered the business name. And it was during the second year of the pandemic. So I was one of those crazy people that was like, the whole world's, upside down. Why don't I just start a business and never go back to work again?
Wow.
And 5 years later, we're still here, which is an achievement, I think.
Yeah. So Limelight is a COVID baby.
It is a COVID baby. And it still feels brand new, like 5 years in. I used to look at businesses that have been going 5 years and think they've really got their stuff together. They, know what they're on about. And I don't feel like that.
It's still a startup.
Yeah, it does still feel like a startup. And it still feels like we're learning. Every year feels different as well. How long have you been going with BuzzGen?
BuzzGen officially, I think it was 2023. Producer Abby, what are we saying? 2023, yeah. So, again, really we're coming up to year 3 now, and it feels like forever. It does feel like forever. I can't remember doing anything else. Like, it's weird.
No. And every year, I think since the pandemic particularly, every year has had something different happen. So we've had, energy crisis, change of political parties, global kind of, things going on with America and wars. And, it just feels like kind of one crisis after another that we're having to get through that all change the business landscape.
I think that's why it feels like so much longer. So many people say like 2020 to 2023 is like a decade. Like, it was such a slow period of time. And but the start of the pandemic, I wasn't working. Like, I quit my job in December 2019 to have a year off and go traveling. So it didn't really work out.
And you're still in the year off, aren't you? That's what Abby tells me.
Pretty well, yeah. It's going really well. Semi-retirement. But by February, when did the pandemic officially start? It was like March, wasn't it?
Yeah, March 2020.
So the day after the first lockdown, I was stacking shelves at Tesco, not on a night shift.
Wow.
I just needed something to do, and doing that kind of spiraled me into, then I just did freelance work, and then I started my own business, and then here we are today. So the pandemic was kind of good for me. I know I probably shouldn't say that, but
I think it was for a lot of people, and especially businesses as well. There was a lot of opportunity, I think, that hadn't been there before, that some people really embraced.
100%. I mean, so the company I worked for in 2019, for example, it was an Italian glass company. And so I worked from home from my house in London. I worked from home for a year. So I had a full office in my spare bedroom and all that, something which was really alien in 2019.
Yeah.
And everyone, I remember at the time, all my friends were saying like, oh, you work from home, that must be really weird. And like, how do you get anything done and all this stuff? I didn't. But after COVID, it became the norm. And so actually the first year of COVID, I was actually quite fortunate that I was kind of in that position. I was already kind of geared up for it, whilst most people were, especially like house shares, sat on the end of their bed with a laptop, and they're not allowed to leave the room. So, but it's just swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Well, no, I remember, so just before the pandemic hit, I presented so the CIPD are the governing body for HR professionals, the Chartered Institute of HR Professionals. And I was at their regional conference and they asked me to run a workshop there on flexible working. And there was a room of about 60 different businesses, different HR people from different businesses, talking about flexible working. And almost everybody in the room was saying we can't get buy-in from our leaders. Flexible working's never going to be that popular because the leaders don't trust people to work from home. There's too many restrictions on things like data protection to all work from home. And this was probably 8 weeks before COVID hit. And then 8 weeks later, sure enough, everybody's just working from home. So it's amazing how it kind of flipped things on its head. And particularly with hybrid and remote working, it's so good for, women that have got care and responsibilities, men that have got care and responsibilities, people with disabilities. So many people benefit from this hybrid and remote working setup, which, is now commonplace. Following 100%. The pandemic, it was really good for many people.
Yeah, and I suppose it's quite interesting actually, because from an HR perspective, does that bring a lot of new challenges? Like employers obviously managing staff who are, not physically in their presence. Like, does that? I'm assuming there are quite a few challenges which come with that, or related issues to that.
Yeah, 100%. And whilst it's really good for many people, and I'd say I'm one of those with two children that are neurodiverse. I couldn't manage my life without being able to work flexibly. Sure. Many people are in the same boat. There's a flip side of it, which actually I see with my children now that they're starting to get to work age, which is when I started working at 16, I learned how to how to work from listening to other people. So I learned how to answer the phone by listening to somebody else answer the phone. I learned because I sat and looked over someone's shoulder at how they were doing things. Well, obviously that's no longer commonplace when you've got hybrid and remote organisations. So I was trying to get my son work experience in a games design business. And they all work from home. So he can't get experience to do gaming design. And it's really difficult, I think, for the younger generations. So in terms of staff development and learning, I think there's definitely still some barriers that remote and hybrid working actually puts into place. And then the other thing is kind of productivity. So, there is these stories that come out where people have got 3 remote jobs and they're trying,
Yes.
Yeah, and there is a bit of kind of trust. And then you get organisations that go too far with that and they want surveillance.
Yeah, the whole Big Brother. And I suppose... Yeah. It's a weird concept because, I actually seen an update recently from Microsoft regarding Teams, and it's going to tell employers or administrators what Wi-Fi they're connected to. It won't give an exact location. It won't give any of that, but it will tell them if they're on their home Wi-Fi. Yeah. If they're not, so or office Wi-Fi, so they will know where they are ish, or at least they'll know if they're on an alien sort of Wi-Fi, which is interesting, I think, because again, it's kind of that tiny little step further forward into that kind of Big Brother mode. But I do love this idea of people having I know there was someone in the States who was put in jail for fraud because he had 9 remote jobs. I mean, if you were to pick, so obviously you're daylighting as an HR business. So what would be the 2 other jobs you reckon you could do on the side?
Oh, there's so many.
I'd love to know what. Oh, maybe you're already doing it. I mean, what have we got?
I suppose hobbies that I could turn into jobs is probably more where my head would go. So I would love to be a wildlife photographer. So that's something I've got on my radar when I'm not, so busy with,
We have talked about watching the tits. Yeah, we've talked about this.
Yeah, my great tits that I have at home.
Great tits outside. Good.
Yeah, so I have recently become a bird watcher. Okay, that's my kind of
clarity.
I hit my 40s. I now have bird feeders. We mainly have tits on the bird feeders, but there is the odd woodpecker and the odd nuthatch. So yeah, wildlife photography.
I'm going to pick 3 more euphemisms, could you?
Yeah, and I do live with a teenage boy and a very immature husband, so there is lots of jokes around the tits on the,
it's a good
audience. On the bird feeders. It's a good audience.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I would love to be a DJ, and that was on my. Lots of people I know kind of learned how to be a DJ during COVID actually, and I never got round to it because I was working and had kids at home. But yeah, I think I could carve out a really decent living from wildlife photography, being a DJ. And then maybe carrying on with some of the, the business that I've spent the last 5 years setting
that's
up.
Quite a nice range. Yeah, I can see that. And so...
what about you though, Mike?
Oh, what would I be doing? That's a really good question.
Thanks.
I mean, running a marketing agency, I guess that's, that's coming natural-ish to me. I like cars and travel and stuff, so I guess something to do with that. Car journalism would be fun because I just get to drive something different all the time.
So host of the new Top Gear.
That'd be great. Yeah, maybe low gear. I wouldn't be. I'd be a Temu Top Gear host. Sure, something. I'd be on Channel 5 or something. 5th gear. There we go. I'll be on 5th gear. No pressure, no viewers. And then. I love being outdoorsy. So, I mean, to be honest, the long-term plan, if it doesn't change, is to be a farmer. Like I love the idea of retiring and having a farm because just being outside with the dogs. Like there's nothing really else to it. So, and if I have any tits on the farm, I'll let you know. You'll be my first call.
Thank you. I would love to come and take photos of them. I haven't even thought about the yoga studio. You know that my long-term plan is this yoga studio, hot and cold therapy centre, wildlife photography. Yeah, there's many things that I would do. But at the moment, it's HR and training, which isn't quite as fun. But
that's fair. But I suppose wellness and HR must go hand in hand, right? So is there a medley there, do you think? Like, what is the importance, do you think, of like employee wellness and HR? And like, you know, I'm sure there must be a direct correlation.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a really big focus on that. You know, let's not keep talking about the pandemic, but I think it did put into perspective a lot of people's priorities. I think wellness and mental health has been a really big focus since that time. And the thing with HR is that whenever there's a new thing that's brought into workplaces, generally it's going to come across your desk as HR. Sure. So whether it's wellness, diversity and inclusion, AI now, you know, we're seeing a lot of kind of AI policies start to creep in. But yeah, in terms of wellbeing and mental health, there is a huge link. I think the basis of HR is getting the right people doing the right things at the right time and enjoying doing them. And I think if you do that, that's pretty much your job as a HR person. And that's what we're helping small businesses and small organisations with. And when things go wrong, it's usually with one of those areas. So they've got the wrong people not doing the right things, you know, or maybe it was the right time, but now it's not anymore. So that needs to change and evolve. Yeah, but in terms of AI as well, so we're starting to see these meta glasses. That's the latest thing that we've looked at.
Right.
So people are starting to record processes or record confidential data, wear them in places where you're not allowed to record. So that's the latest thing that's come across our desk to try and write policies about and try and manage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like, in fact, I'm almost certain this is the case because our big problem in marketing right now is that everyone's trying to use AI. Like for everything. And you know what, using it for prompt AI is a fabulous tool. Like I genuinely am a big fan of it. I used to be a little bit standoffish about it, but I think it's a fantastic tool. But people are just pumping out content which is AI focused. For the record, these softwares which say we will do your social media through AI and all this, they are so shit. Like, I'm sorry, I actually tested a couple of these platforms on like the free trial. See what the content it gives you, it couldn't be more generic. It's also just wrong. Like they're inaccurate. It will just pump out content because it just fills in blanks. So I remember I did one for myself just to see like what it came up with. I was never in a million years going to post it, but it was just making up facts and figures. And I thought, shit, like if something went out like that and I had to back it up, like what if it quoted a price, and what if, you know, it's really quite dangerous when people are relying on it as just the finished product. And I'm assuming you're finding contracts, HR policies, are people just churning it through GPTs now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you said, I think it's a really useful tool. I think it's got its place, you know, but you've got to know what you're doing. I asked it something recently. I had a really kind of quirky inquiry around 2P. And that's not my specialist area. So I did use it to kind of give me a bit of advice and guidance, but I pretty soon noticed that actually it was incorrect with the advice and guidance it was giving, because I know enough about 2P to pick up that it wasn't giving the right advice. Whereas somebody that's using it and doesn't understand, you know, they would have just kind of rolled with that and could have got themselves into some really difficult situations with it. But yeah, it's going to change how everybody works. I think a little bit like the internet did, you know, the World Wide Web, when that first came in, it was quite scary. People weren't sure, you know, whether it was robots stealing all of our jobs, you know, that was the same kind of language. And now it's all just integrated into how we do our day-to-day jobs.
Exactly. It is just part of day-to-day life. It's like, I don't know if you remember, like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, it's like 2024, start of 2024. The new industry of jobs was going to be prompt writing.
Yes.
People are going to be millionaires by writing prompts. That just died. You know, like it's just not a thing. Like, you know, because it's not that people didn't necessarily get better at writing prompts. The AI got cleverer and started understanding us more. So it's not like I didn't have to specify so many things for it to understand what I wanted and what the result I wanted was. So the AI is just constant. It's getting cleverer and so quickly. Like now, all these robots are coming out to the market, and I'm just excited about my new Roomba, to be honest. Like, if in fact, if my Roomba can get AI, that would be great. Like, if it's got a little, I think it's just like machine learning, but if that had a little mind of its own, that'd be great. Like, just throw it some softballs sometimes.
That's the thing I'm most excited about as well. Once they've got robot cleaners and I don't have to do housework anymore, God, yes. That is the dream. But yeah, going back to what you were saying about the marketing, it's really interesting. When I did start my business, one of the things that really helped me was I already had about 5,000 followers on LinkedIn. So I already had quite a big network, and I was already out there doing speaking gigs and, presenting at conferences, and that really helped. But because it was the time where everybody was housebound, it was a captive audience for social media as well. So actually, I built the first 18 months of my business. I got fantastic clients, and I built the whole business through social media, through a Facebook group that we started. One of my clients was 22 Bishopsgate, the tallest skyscraper in London, where The Apprentice was filmed this year. Another one was McLaren Applied, so a business unit of McLaren. Nice. So I had Le Manoir Caisson, which is Raymond Blanc's Michelin star country house. So we had some big hitters in the first 18 months. Wow. But the market then completely changed. And whilst we still do social media, we've had to have a real focus on local networking and growing our brand presence in the Midlands rather than nationwide.
Right.
But the content that we put out has also changed. And what I see, like you were saying, is that people are just churning out rubbish content using AI, and it just doesn't break through. And it's been such a big 100%. Integral part to Limelight and our journey, and the way that we grew so quickly in our first few years and got all these big clients. It breaks my heart that people just think I've just got to put something out for the sake of it. If I post rubbish every single day, that is going to build my business and get me clients. That is not the case. You can post 10% of what you post, but do it well, and it will break through and it will get you those clients. But people don't think like that. They're just churning out, rubbish content that doesn't get them anywhere.
It's interesting because the advice, whenever I have a chat with a business owner, especially a small business owner, is more applied to them. They often say, like, I really want to do this, but maybe I can't afford to do it. Or maybe, I've got other projects on at the moment, or whatever it is. I always say to someone, if you have the time, like if you can take 2 hours, 3-4 hours out of your week every week, and you genuinely can do that, do it yourself. Like genuinely do it yourself. Like think about your brand, take the time to do it, and then just put the content out there, because people come to us all the time, and don't get me wrong, we will do a great strategy and we'll create their branding, we'll do a great job, and that's and that's great. But whilst you're just starting out, the most important thing is authenticity.
Absolutely.
And I just think so many people are focused on quantity over quality.
Absolutely.
And I actually did a test in September. I just posted on LinkedIn some basic graphics that I just knocked together and just posted them twice a week for a month. And on average, I'd say I got, a few likes here, but the engagement was quite low. The next post I did, the first post I did in October, I think it was a photo of me and my dogs saying, it was kind of like a meet the founder kind of post. And my engagement that week went up 4,000% or something. And just because it was my face, it was my dogs, and it was just authentic. It was very me. I just sat there and wrote the post. And if someone does that once a fortnight, it's better than AI every day.
Absolutely.
Guaranteed. Like if that's the one piece of advice I could say to someone who is starting a brand, just take the time to actually think about who the brand is, who you are, and what you're about, what your brand ethics and all that kind of stuff is. And then actually just put that out there. Don't rely on AI, or don't, even if you come to an agency, at least have had that thought. And if you haven't had that thought, then speak to a brand consultant, or speak to us about, just be honest and say, I don't know who the fuck we are, basically, because it's so much better to have that conversation first than just dive in saying, I want sales, like, bog off offers and deals and all this, like, because people just aren't people aren't going to engage with that, because then you're just like the rest of the pack.
It becomes noise, doesn't it?
100%.
There's somebody in the HR world that sells a kind of marketing box, he calls it. So it's £99 a month, and they send out a load of carousels, a load of posts, newsletter content, but he sends it to 100 HR consultancies.
Okay.
And then it gets slightly tweaked for each one. But at that time of the month, I kind of, when it gets sent out, not any other time of the month, I see I see the same
Worst
post.
time
I know. I see the same post come up again and again on LinkedIn, because I follow a lot of these consultancies, and I think it's great that they've kind of putting it out there, but it's not breaking through. Nobody's looking at it going, I know who you are. This has given me a real flavour of like what I can expect working with you. Because it's very generic, and there's nothing against that, and it will work for some people, but I just think it's such a great opportunity with social media. At the touch of your fingers, you've got millions of potential clients. Like, when in the world has that ever happened before? We live in a golden age where we can connect with so many people all at the same time.
Yeah.
And the access to that has, really catapulted some people's businesses to be worth millions.
100%. Like, this is the thing, right? The audience is there. LinkedIn's got hundreds of millions of users. The audience is there. It's just how you engage with them. And like, it's going back to that point that like authenticity wins every time. Like, another example of LinkedIn, like, I do my usual thing. I'm at a networking event, or I'm doing this today, and that kind of usual stuff. And that's nice, because, ultimately I'm tagging other people, I'm engaging other people and getting on their feeds, I'm playing the game. But a good example of one which just being honest, I had no idea it was going to work so well, was I was on holiday. I just had to do some emails. I posted a picture of my laptop on a balcony with the sun and the sea and all that behind it. And I just put some tiny little caption, just doing some work, whatever. And I did #nomad. That was it. And Fiverr, the freelance website, as well as People Per Hour, both commented on it. I had, my standard impressions is probably like, anywhere from 2 to 10,000. It went to 80,000 impressions and like 200 likes or something. And for the life of, if I did that same post today, it wouldn't do as well. It was just, I got lucky that whoever was in the admin team of those big companies picked it up and they posted it, and it was just that nice little setting. But that was just me being authentic and just posting something that I thought, it's nice, it's very me, and it's on brand. Very me, sat on a balcony in the sun.
Is very you, Mark.
Very me, doing a bit of work in the afternoon in the sun. Yeah. But people feed off that, because ultimately it's a networking, and called a network for a reason. It's people you should know and engage with regularly, and if they engage, that's when their network engage and their network engage. It's not, if I post a picture of me and my dog, a stranger I've never met in insurance in London, he's not going to look at that and go, I'm with you, Mike. You
look like dog it is, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true. He'd like the dog. But that's another easy piece of advice. Dogs are like a cheat code.
Oh, I know. Well, we've got the 10-stone Bernese Mountain Dog, and any post that I can squeeze him into, I mean, he's there.
I've run out of content. Get the dog.
Yeah, genuinely, I'm like, I don't know what to post today. Let's post a silly picture of the dog and ask ChatGPT to think of something.
Exactly.
No, I don't do that. No, but I think a point that is really important is that through your marketing, you need to attract the right people to you.
100%.
And actually, again, a lot of people focus on the wrong things, because they think, impressions and likes is all I need to get.
Yeah.
Good example of this. I was up for an award at the Chamber Awards last year. We were both there. We had a fantastic picture of us fist fighting, if you remember. Indeed. Neither of us won, I think.
Neither of us won.
Same award, but neither of us won.
I'll take the wooden spoon.
Yeah, we both got the wooden spoon for that one. But afterwards, you'll remember that somebody shouted, get your tits out to me in the car park. So I put a little post up, didn't I? And that got, I think, 100,000 likes. And it went absolutely viral.
Easy.
Now, did that get me any business? No, it didn't. Did it go viral? Yes, it did. Are lots of people very cautious how they speak to me now? Yes, they are.
As they bloody should be.
Yeah, but did it really help my business? Probably not. But the point is that through your marketing, it's not about the likes and the impressions. It is about attracting the right people. And I think one of the things I wanted to say on the podcast really was it's not just about clients either, because if you're trying to grow your business, the most important thing that you can focus on is the people that you get around you. And you all agree with this because I know you've got a fantastic team. Abby producer, shout out. But you need the right people around you.
100%.
I've had a year where we've had a lot of change at Limelight. Not for any bad reasons, just people on fixed term contracts that decided it wasn't for them ultimately, and went to go and get other roles and things like this. And the difference of having the team now that I've got, who all are engaged and want to be there and are the right people, I kind of feel like I wasted 18 months having the wrong people engaged in my business.
Right.
And again, none of them were bad. It just wasn't the right people growing my business for me.
Sure.
And through your marketing, you need to attract the right people to grow your business with you. And it's not just clients that are looking, it's going to be your future employees. So there's this real strong link for me when you're doing your marketing campaigns with businesses. You've got to think about the potential employees that you're attracting as well.
You guys did our HR books and you did all of our HR systems, did a fabulous job. And what's interesting is that was the thing you kept saying to me at the time, because you said, I want to talk about your marketing. And I was like, excuse me, do you know who you're talking to? And I was like, as soon as I put that thought of stay in your lane out, but that was the reality, because I was like, oh shit, we didn't really think about this. We market ourselves to clients. We don't market ourselves as a great place to work. And and it was actually when we went through that process, you and your team kind of picked out some elements of our stuff, and you were like, you need to be shouting about this. Like, why don't we know about this? The famous one being paternity leave.
Paternity was so good.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of the marketing works for both clients and candidates.
Exactly. I think that's exactly the point, is like people don't just buy, especially something like marketing or HR, people aren't buying a list of services and the price. They're buying from people. They need to trust them. Like, do they understand my business? Do they, are they going to support us in the best way? Because equally, if I needed, if I was looking at HR, for example, I'm not going to not speak to someone. It's not something you click and buy online without speak to a person. You're like, who the hell are these people? Absolutely. Do they have experience with my kind of industry, my size of team? Is there going to be chemistry? Are my team going to trust them? And it's exactly the same for us. We need to sell ourselves as, if we had, Costa Coffee knock on the door tomorrow and say like, hey, can you run all of our social channels? I'd be like, sure, because I don't say no. But like the reality of it, they wouldn't, because they'd be like, what are your qualifications? Unless that summer I work for Starbucks, but otherwise, no, we're just not going to be doing that. Yeah,
but it's like when you hear about good employers, you're more likely to want to go and spend money there. So like John Lewis, people say, oh, all of the staff have, a stake in John Lewis, don't they? They're all kind of shareholders. And so when you go and shop in John Lewis, you kind of have that, actually they treat 100%. Their employees really well. And then other companies where they treat their employees really badly. So P&O Cruises, for instance, with that big scandal where they kind of shipped everybody off and just said, we're replacing you with cheaper employees. Yeah. Does that make you less likely then to go and want to spend money there? Or does it give you a bit of an impression of what they're like as an organisation? There's a real link between your brand as an employer and your brand, as you present it to clients. Completely off topic, but I was on TikTok last night, and I don't know if you've seen the latest TikTok trend.
No.
Oh, it's hilarious.
I should know, clearly, but no.
Okay, so it's a bit below the belt, but stay with me here. Okay. So somebody will come onto camera and they'll go, things me and my... a lot of them I've seen is like, things me and my husband put up our bums. Me, nothing. And then they go to their husband, and they've obviously asked the husband a different question.
Oh, I see.
So tell me what's in your golf bag, for instance. And he answers it with, well, a 9-iron, a putter, a golf ball, tees, obviously, gloves. So I saw Currys do this yesterday, and it said, he came on and he went, things me and my colleague have put up our bums. Me, nothing. My colleague. And then he'd obviously asked him, describe us what's in the Currys shop.
Oh, God.
And he's going, well, a 65-inch TV, a keyboard. But I thought, isn't it hilarious how all of these huge brands have started to jump on these TikTok trends now?
God,
And
yeah.
even ones like that are like, you know, risque, really. You know, and suddenly you're seeing, you know, probably Lidl are going to be the next one to jump on it.
100%.
Oh,
Yeah. Like, and you actually make a good point, because there's so many examples, aren't there, of like brands where that works better for, like, it's almost like leaning into the skid. And I think a good example of that is Ryanair.
Yeah.
Whenever you follow Ryanair on Instagram or anything,
I do.
They're so good at leaning into the skid. Like, for example, every joke they make, someone's like, you know, I've got a bit of extra leg room. They're like, oh yeah, extra leg room fee. Or it's, you know, I got a free this. Oh no, that's charged. And like, they know that there's loads of add-ons and loads of stuff, you know, but they lean into that. Equally, you know, you've got people like Aldi did so well with Cuthbert and the court case with M&S. And like M&S really fucked that up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because they took the stance of, firstly, they should never taken its court. Instead, no, they said, you know, it's our brand, you're copying it, blah, blah, blah. They lost it, and, you know, Cuthbert lives on. In fact, I went to a birthday party for a kid the other day on Sunday, and a good friend, and they had Wiggles.
Okay, yeah.
Which I believe is Sainsbury's, Cuthbert and Colin. So everyone's got one now. I would love to do a taste test and find out which is the best caterpillar.
Somebody's probably done that on TikTok.
You'd hope so. I mean, I'm team Cuthbert always. I love a Cuthbert, but I
think I'm more traditional. I like Colin.
Oh, posh. You finish uni.
I didn't go to uni. I went to the University of Life. I was telling you earlier, I got a job my first job I was 14. And I left school at 16 after, you know, probably not attending for most of year 11. Very misspent youth. And went straight into an apprenticeship. But that takes us back nicely full circle to this, you know, 16-year-olds are struggling at the moment to try and break into the workplace. It's not like when we were that age.
No. And I mean, I was really fortunate. You know, I went to a good school, and like I was given the opportunity. You know, I went to uni for 2 years. But it's funny because I went to uni, I was studying business management, ironically. And after my second year, between in my summers off, I was always working. I was like got work experience or did an internship or something like that. Apprenticeships weren't really pushed very much back then. And after my second year of uni, I got on a job at an estate agency, just as a proper estate agent, like selling houses. And I was meant to do that for like 3 months, whatever the summer was, and then go back. And at the end of the summer, I was like dreading it. I was like, I don't want to quit. I don't want to go. And eventually I kind of clicked. I was like, why the hell am I going back? Everyone I know studies business studies in university, becomes an estate agent. Literally. Every one of them, like everyone study business studies, then they move to London and they went and worked for like Foxtons or someone. Yeah. And like my older brother did exactly that. And I was already doing it. And I was like, well, I'm going to have a year's more experience. And at the end of the day, I knew I was going to be doing something like management or say, I knew I was always going to be a salesman. I could tell that. And I was like, I think most of the trade I'm going to be doing is going to be self-taught and experience-led. Unless I decide to become a surgeon, I don't think I need to do any more, but I say that education, I think, is so important. Like, you know, in fact, every week I've got this list of like courses that I want to do. Do I do them? No. But they're on my list. But there's things like, you know, doing what we do in particular, you know, it's constantly changing landscape, constantly changing. I mean, not just from an administrative point of view, like Meta and Google, guys, they change everything weekly. It's a nightmare. Like they really make it hard for especially people like us, because we're managing other people's Meta accounts and Google accounts. It's always changing. And but on top of that, you've also got like we just talked about trends, for example, like these different trends that are always coming up. We need to be hot on the heels. I clearly am not, but things like it's not just the latest trend on TikTok, but it's things like what's working on LinkedIn. Right now it's like the big one we're pushing a lot of our clients on is the way people use Facebook ads. Almost none of our clients are using meta ads in a standard way. We push them to like boosted posts instead, and we focus on certain keywords. Instagram's now pulling SEO. So again, it's all these different things where we as a team need to stay on top of, and we always discuss as a team what's going on in the world, so that we can adapt to things like every month.
It's absolutely critical for in the space that you're in. It's interesting with LinkedIn. So the time that I've been on LinkedIn, I've now got like 13,000 followers, which isn't huge, but it's enough that I do a lot of work on my presence. And make sure that I'm kind of keeping on top of it. But I know other people that have gone fully into being like LinkedIn influencers. And they've put, they've paid for video coaching. They've paid thousands for the proper branding shots. They've really kind of lent into that. And they are now on 30, 40,000, 50,000 followers. But interestingly, behind the scenes, when I talk to them, they don't have the business coming in that you would expect that they would have for that. And I do think it's because I've just kept consistent, and I try not to lean into the trends. I do a few of them, but I try to just be authentic and just talk about what we do, how we help people, and just try and give real life stories of kind of what we're out there doing every day.
I think it's such an important point.
And it kind of works, that consistency about it, because it kind of attracts the right people. I think if I went full on LinkedIn influencer, I think I'd probably attract loads more people, but I'm not sure they'd be the right ones actually.
Well, it's a good point. It's like I said earlier, an example where I got like hundreds of likes on a post, didn't make me any money.
No.
And then did those followers stick around for the next few posts? No.
No.
Like unless I became, I'm going to be the nomad guy. Like, no, that's not,
It's almost like the hardest thing to do is actually just stay in your lane and just keep doing what you do, and don't get 100%. Distracted by these shiny trends. Like build them in. Like I still got, ChatGPT to roast my profile pic the other day because that was hilarious. So I still kind of jump on the odd one, but actually I just kind of stay in my lane with it. And I find it probably doesn't work as effectively as some, other things that you could help me with, but it kind of works for us.
It's why the first thing we do with every client, and we do this every month, and then we do a bigger version of it every quarter, is that strategy.
Yeah.
Because if we said, right, we're just going to try and make you go viral every week, it ain't going to work, because firstly, most of things that go viral, in fact, I'd probably say 99% of things that go viral, it's not planned. You can't just go viral unless you chuck money at Google ads and whatnot, or Meta and boosting posts. But even then, that's not going viral. That's not organic. So everything we do, that's why we have different pillars. There's education, there's promotion, and and brand awareness, and obviously the team stuff. So behind the teams, who are they as a team? Educational, what's going on in their industry, and then promotional, here's why you should work with us. There has to be that mixture, because like you say, I could do one of those like viral videos, and I say I get a decent amount of following from it and a load of views. That's great. I then need to capitalize on that. But I need to do it in a way which isn't super obvious and super, because then again, people then go, oh, he's disingenuous, he's not authentic. And then, it's like the people who go viral for a dance they did or whatever, the Hawk Tuah girl. That's a good example of that. I feel like really old as I said that.
I know.
The Hawk Tuah girl, that lovely lady.
The pet that dog. That girl.
Exactly.
She's about 40 now, isn't she?
Yeah. But then they've all gone on, and then they'll get a brand deal with Boohoo, and that they do that. They do like immediate the Ibiza boss.
Oh, the
guy.
Ibiza final boss.
Yeah, exactly. And then he had a brand deal with Boohoo in the week, and like there's all that. And like again, like it doesn't last though. People kind of just go. People go like, oh, it's funny for 2 weeks, and then they kind of fade away. Like it's rare that kind of thing can stay as it is, but. Okay, so I'm going to try something a little bit different now. Since we're both good friends and, like to play games when we host our events and stuff. I thought I'd try to introduce an element of that into this. So we're just going to have a good old game of Jenga.
Amazing.
Why not? I mean, I could make some comment about how it's the building blocks of business, but I don't want to, that's all bullshit. We just want to play Jenga.
Yeah.
So
I feel like as HR, I should do that. It's the building blocks of your business.
The building blocks of your business. Yeah. So, I mean, ladies first, of course. You go first. So, I mean, go on then. We'll go on that theme. So, building blocks of business. I mean...
Okay.
This is such a bad idea.
This is such a bad idea.
I'm going to barrel you with some questions
I had a Costa coffee before this, and I'm sure they put caffeine in it.
Good plug. Speaking of... Isn't it meant to go on the top? You meant to put it on the top again? Yeah, there we go. There we go. We are seasoned players. Okay. So, building blocks of HR then. Okay, so what if I'm starting a business tomorrow?
Yeah.
I may well at this rate. What need somebody to keep the lights on. Where would, from an HR perspective, hiring in either a couple of people or a team, like what is step one?
I mean, the foundation is not sexy. It is very boring, which is getting the right policies and procedures in place for anything that you're going to do when it comes to staff. And the most common issue that we see... Sorry, Mike's just gone rogue.
Am I allowed to use two hands? Oh, you are?
Like, shall I just pull that out for you?
I didn't realise. I thought it was like a one hand... Oh my God, I feel like okay.
I feel like you've done that backwards. Yeah, it's not sexy. The most common issue that we see is that a staff issue arises and the right policies and procedures are not in place, and it's not sexy, and it's not, the kind of fun part of HR, if there is one. The other day I had a person that just had one employee. That employee had been with her for 2.5 years, so had full employment rights. Currently you need to wait for 2 years before you get those. Labour are changing it.
Right,
and that employee became disgruntled because of a throwaway comment that employer had made. And within a week, it's in a very nasty grievance that there's really no coming back from. Neither party wanted to work with each other following this 1 week of chaos. And it ended up being a settlement that cost this person probably close to £10,000 when you accounted for our fees. And that was resolving it before it went anywhere near a tribunal, anywhere near ACAS, anywhere near an employment solicitor. That was just the sum to pay this person who felt like she needed a good 3 or 4 months salary, and get her to withdraw the claim that she would have been able to make in a tribunal that she probably would have won. And that was just from literally one incident and within a week. Now, that person luckily had a good contract and did have some policies in place. But many people that we work with, they don't. And if they have got them in place, they don't keep them up to date. And when you need them, luckily the contract had a gardening leave clause, for instance, because that person didn't want this employee to have access to all of the client records while there's a dispute going on. But if you don't have that in place, suddenly you've got no right to withdraw that person from your business during a notice period. Yeah. But like I say, it's not sexy, but it's things like that that do actually really help. Yeah,
and I suppose it kind of highlights the point. So, I mean, what's interesting from that is you said that person... The business owner hired one person, and they were they on retainer with you? Like, I'm interested to know, at what point with someone running a small business, when do they need HR really?
So we have 5 levels of retainer that we work with small businesses on, small to medium businesses. The very lowest one just includes us writing the policies, writing the contract, and keeping those up to date.
Yeah.
So a lot of businesses will just pay and get those written once and then think job done, stick them in a cupboard, never look at them again. Yeah. And they don't really understand what they're saying. So we don't do that. We, instead of charging one large fee, we charge a very small fee. It's £85 a month for our smallest one. Really? And we keep those up to date and just make sure that they've got all the right foundation blocks, a bit like this Jenga game, all the right foundation blocks in place. Am I allowed to touch multiple blocks?
So at this point, I'm just going to say yes.
Yeah. So that's the first time that you think about employing somebody. that's when I would say start working with a HR company.
Yeah.
And start working with one that's going to get to know your business and get to know your plans as well, because we can help with that. We can help with your growth plans. The next package that we do, so once we've got the policies and procedures and contracts sorted, the next one is advice and guidance. People can either use that ad hoc, or they can pay to have unlimited advice and guidance. And then the next one up, we do culture surveys, we do, recruitment reviews to make sure that, the recruitment processes are all working really well. We do, make sure that the culture and the engagement is keeping up there. And then so on and so forth until we're kind of spending a day, a month on site with your employees.
I think we've kind of touched on this earlier. I think it's so important to appreciate when you work with partners like yourself. When you work with a partner, you're not just getting that service, you're getting someone who knows their stuff. You can lean on for advice. Some of our clients, I feel like I mentor them sometimes, because it's literally they just want that help. And I think ultimately, like, we've worked with you, of course, and we work with you, and like, I feel like the team get to know our team, and that's when you're getting like genuine advice. And again, slapping AI back, like, AI doesn't know your team, it doesn't know the dynamics of your team, it definitely doesn't know the politics of your team, because no matter how much you like it, there's always going to be politics, whether a small or large org. And I think that's so important, that's where the human element's so important, but not just the human element. People who know if you came in for one day, you're not going to know, whilst if you work with us month after month, year after year, you're going to feel like part of the team.
Well, also with HR, there's no kind of right or wrong way. I mean, obviously you've got to abide by employment law, but there's lots of different ways that you can approach one issue. So if you've got a staff issue, like the one I talked about where the relationship had dissolved, there's many ways that you can approach that as a HR consultancy. So we always try to look at the outcome and think, well, actually the outcome that we want is for the people that are aggrieved to move past that and to actually be happy with the outcome.
Yeah.
So we'll take an approach that looks at mediation, or looks at the best way to resolve it for all parties.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to one of the big call centre HR companies like Peninsula, for instance, or Krona, they don't look at that. They just look at what the employment law says. So they will just say, well, employment law says you can do this. Is that what you want to do? As we say, well, look, you can do that. But actually, if we get you both in a room with a mediator, this might actually resolve and you might be able to move past it.
Yeah.
So there's different ways that you can do HR and advise on the way to resolve issues. And you've got to have an organisation that knows your goals and the outcome that you want to help you get there with it.
Yeah.
So sometimes a company will call us, for instance, and they'll say, we've got this issue. This employee feels aggrieved because this situation happened. And I'll say, well, we've looked at it and you're exposed. If this employee wants to sue you, they've actually got a case there. So don't spend money on us. Don't spend £4,000 on us investigating this issue. Actually wrap that into a payment and offer that to the employee right now. And, you can both resolve this issue and move forward.
100%.
Because otherwise you're going to pay £8,000 and you're still exposed on this issue. And I'd rather 100%. Not take that money and you get the best outcome, because that's how we operate.
And I couldn't agree with more. We have exactly the same mentality about these things, because I'd rather work with someone long term than have a big short term gain.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I'm playing this, I realise my concentration face is like also probably my constipation face, because I'm just like really tense about this. And
I know, I have the worst resting bitch face.
This is I feel like I'm running out of that was a beauty. Okay. I feel like this is we're reaching the pinnacle here. Oh. Good. That was a bit too smooth, my liking. Okay, I'm not happy about this. I don't really know where to go at this point. Oh my god, yes.
Oh.
That felt. Oh my god. I'm so clenched right now.
Yeah, this Jenga game does not have good foundations.
Don't run a business like this.
This is not what we talk about when we talk about good HR foundations. Oh my God.
This could be it.
I'm shaking.
This could be it.
I'm shaking from my coffee and it's not good.
This could be it.
Oh,
you bitch. I need to suppress this competitiveness. Okay, I feel like that could be.
That's a brave one to go for, Mike. So if a small business are listening to this podcast, Mike, what are 3 tips that you would give them?
Don't play Jenga.
In terms of their marketing.
So 3 key tips for any small business looking to ramp up or start their marketing. Wow. So 3 small tips. Sorry, I keep starting. 3 small tips for any business owner looking to ramp up their marketing in an SME. Firstly, just think about your brand and not just think about what you are, who you are, what you're about, what colors you want to go with, what fonts. It's actually go right back. Why did you start the business? What's the story behind the business? Tell that story, because if there's one thing that people attach to is telling a story. Yeah. So it's not, I run a marketing agency. It's I started a marketing agency to help SME businesses. And immediately you're talking to your audience. You're not talking about yourself. So understand the story behind your brand and why you started what you start. Second key thing I'd say is along the same lines, really, think about what your core values are, both personally and brand. It's so important to have core values because people think they're a bit of a gimmick that you put on the, put on the website, we care and that sort of thing. But actually, if you have core values and then live by them and work by them day to day, it genuinely shapes your business 100%. beyond marketing. Like our 3 core values are being personable, flexible, and approachable. So a lot of ours are about human to human working closely together. But day to day, we bear that in mind. Everything we do with our clients, everything we do as a team, we work together really, really close to do that.
We're exactly the same with our values as well. And, talking about cultures in organisations, workplace cultures, absolutely shaped by those values.
100%. And one of the big things that people don't tend to think
about. Are you
about,
avoiding your go, by the way?
I am. Yeah, I am. I don't want to do it. One of the big things, one of the big things that people, I can't believe I smashed that. One of the big things that people don't think about is your core values also attracts the right customers.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be attracting customers. For example, if you're all about attention to detail and making sure that you do everything properly, you don't want to be attracting people who just care about price. That's, in fact, almost no one wants to be working with people who just care about price. So it is super, super important to live by those values and market yourself appropriately, because at least you need to be genuine. And the final thing I'd say is probably to be personable. Like, put yourself, if you're a really small business, then make yourself the brand, at least while you're starting out. But like, show the team. Like, the biggest challenge we have with all of our clients is getting our clients to send in videos or pictures of themselves.
Yeah.
No one likes to get in front of camera and do stuff. But the reality is, like, if people see the team behind the brand, that's what they're interested in. People buy from people.
Yeah.
And that is what people are going to buy from. So I think that's so important to remember that people actually do that. And it's why it's the biggest push we do is, I feel like this is it.
I mean, it's a good point to end on, Mike.
It is it's a nice point. Oh my God. We're still going. If you pull out a block, I swear to God.
I thought I'd done a ninja move then. I was like, this is going to be the most ninja Jenga.
I thought you'd done it. Oh, God.
Story of my life. I've clapped the entire thing.
And on that note, that's a great place to finish. Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming in. It's been so much fun.
It really has. Thank you for hosting me on your podcast.
Not at all. And I want to send thank you very much to our producer, Abby Browning.
Thanks,
to
Abby.
the podcast location, guys, which is Middlebrook Media. And finally, our editor, Bethany Dennett. And from us here at Behind the Buzz, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.